Carpenter. We're going to break the Buckeyes down. Let's look back first at that huge win over then top-ranked Texas. And my goodness, Bobby, the whole world talking about how great Texas was. Some people said, oh, Paul Feinbaum, that Ohio State had no chance. All the trolling that went on. Oh, and just give Arch Manning the Heisman. Someone forgot. And you know what I'm tired of hearing, Bob? Everyone say, oh, well, Texas didn't do it. Texas this, Texas. How about what Ohio State did and made Texas look that way?
I think part of the problem, Dom, is people talked about that talent disparity, and you watched two teams on the field that looked pretty even talent-wise. I think Ohio State executed a little bit better than Texas out there. And one of my dad's favorite lines, and it's the bane of some people's existence, but he's always said, if you can't get a yard, you don't deserve to win. And you look at the two opportunities down there, Texas with the ball, 4th and 1, Ohio State with the ball, 4th and 1. Ohio State goes old school. They get in 2 tight ends, 2 backs, and pound the football in there. Allow Jim Tressel, Woody Hayes, Earl Bruce. Texas is down there. They're kind of in a little bit of a bunch formation. They've got guys standing up, and they're able to turn them away on a quarterback sneak by Arch Manning. And to me, those 2 plays kind of talked about the culture, the toughness of the teams. And then we start talking about talent. Saw an Ohio State defense out there that had loads of talent. You saw Carnell Tate make a play down the sideline. Running game needs to get going a little bit, but I think some of that's a function of maybe how good Texas was up front. And then you saw Julian Sayin, who his numbers were okay, but Ryan keeps talking about his adjusted completion percentage, where you probably took 4 completions off the board that were in guys' hands that normally those players would make those catches.
You know, the other thing is, and, you know, I've had some of my friends say, oh, my goodness, I'm concerned about the running game. Let me just say this. Watch the game. They were daring Ohio State to throw. Ryan Day even said after the game they probably could have done a little more with Julian Sayin, but they were daring Ohio State. And when it mattered, I thought the O-line did okay, and they did run the ball when they had to. When they needed to score a touchdown, they went into the end zone running the ball.
Absolutely. We were sitting down there, you know, on the south end of the stadium when they were able to run it in on that 4th down. And that, to me, is you got to win the rushing battle. Sometimes that's total yards. Sometimes it's yards per carry. Sometimes, to me, it's critical moments. And Ohio State was able to run the football when they needed to, when they had to. And I think the offensive line did a really good job. In protection, they were great. Running game, I think that they were pretty good. There were some double teams I saw getting a lot of movement. I think some of that is a function of, hey, Texas was daring them to throw it. They're loading the box. You have a redshirt freshman quarterback, first start in Ohio Stadium. You don't want to have him go out there and put too much on his plate. So they put just enough out there for him to go make plays. And then on top of that, C.J. Donaldson, James Peoples, they did a good job, but I think that there was a little bit of meat left on the bone on some of those cuts. And I think that's something Carlos Lachlan, the running backs coach, will get cleaned away.
Yeah, I love the fact that, you know, Ohio State, as John Cooper used to say, you win the surest way. And they won the surest way. They killed the clock. They controlled the line of scrimmage. And they put it in the hands of the defense. Last thing about last week's game, Matt Patricia, his debut, you were really high on that guy from day one. And I got to be honest with you, Bobby, talking to this man, his football IQ, he is like out there. He knows his football. And I love the fact that he is coaching his kids to what they do best. He is creating a defense around what his players do best, and I love that. The players love him for that. And to see that kind of performance in the first game, and you want to build the confidence, everything, I can't wait to see what this guy does the rest of the year.
It was tremendous. And people were curious, what kind of defense are you going to see out there with Matt Patricia? And I asked him, we're talking, and full disclosure, I had played for him my final year in New England, so I had a good idea of what he was about. And he goes, well, show me the players I have, and then we'll build the defense around them. And he's got some tall, athletic guys at linebacker. He's got an incredibly tall and incredibly talented and smart safety in Caleb Downs. So we're going to do a lot of things, and they were able to change it up. He's a great teacher. He's a great educator, and he's a smart guy. He's an aeronautical engineer. And so he's probably a little above his pay grade as far as what he's doing now. Very, very intelligent guy, but he's a great, great teacher, and you saw that on full display. And I'm excited to watch this defense evolve as the year goes on because they're just really showing the tip of the iceberg.
You know, although you're a kid, you are an old soul. And I know you believe the philosophy that you make your most improvement from week 1 to week 2. Grambling is coming to town. All right, the first thing you worry about after a huge win, and I would say that was a huge win. The Buckeyes are now #1. Let's face facts. This is a game Ohio State should have no trouble with, but you always worry about a letdown. You worry about getting someone hurt. You want to. How do you? If you're Ryan Day, how do you approach this game?
Well, the good news was, and Ryan talked about this, you'd rather learn from a win than a loss, but you have to go over through that last game with a fine-tooth comb. Where do we need to improve? You mentioned some of those elements in the run game. There's some stuff on defense they want to get cleaned up. And then you have an awesome opportunity here with Grambling coming in and looking at that saying, it's an opponent, it's an FCS school. There's not even a spread out there you can find in a lot of sports books. So Ohio State obviously heavily favored. How do we get those things cleaned up? And it's not about matchups and guys winning. We know we have better players, but can we go out and execute at a high level? Can we stay focused all practice? Can we have the focus that we had for 4 months leading into Texas? We need to maintain that now through this week going against Grambling. And then it's going to be developing that rapport on offense. And so the balance is going to be, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but you also have a quarterback that's only played 4 quarters at Ohio State. You have a backup quarterback, Dom, who really hasn't played either. And so people are like, oh, you want to play Julian some, but don't get him hurt. And then balancing, well, if he does have to go in, you want to make sure Lincoln is ready. And so that balance there for Ryan is going to be incredibly difficult to kind of figure out when to pull Julian, how good he needs to look, and then how much to do with Lincoln in there, and maybe even see a little Tavian St. Clair as well.
With all the respect that I have for Grambling, and we're talking about a storied program, and you think about it. With that said, they're just not in the same caliber as an Ohio State. Is this a game, if you're Ryan Day, that you want to play as many guys as you can across the field? Do you want to get your starters some reps, but then get them out?
I think when you come into this game, the mentality is for the starters, you need to play so well that your teammates are getting in. And that's a function of guys in the room. Hey, I played a lot last week. There were some young guys who played really well in camp who maybe didn't get in. In a normal game 1, they're probably playing 30 to 40% of the games or the plays. So this time now, you want to make sure those guys get in. A linebacker like a Riley Pettijohn, Malik Hartford, who's played really well at safety in camp, didn't really get so much time. Aaron Scott, getting him out there. Bryson Rogers, getting a chance to look at some of these guys in different roles and getting your starters good work and then getting them out of there and making sure the #1 goal is going to be exiting this game healthy.
All right, let's talk about Julian Sayin. As you mentioned, made his first start. He showed me so much poise in that game. He didn't turn the ball over. I thought he made good decisions. He had some drops, but all in all, I thought it was a solid. I'd give him an A for that performance, playing in that kind of environment, although it was a home game, but playing against a team like that. What do you want to see out of him this week? How much do you think we see him throwing the ball? How much do you think they let him stretch the field and maybe get some confidence and some rapport with the Carnell? We saw Carnell take in a big one. I mean, this is going to be Jeremiah's turn. There's Ennis. You got Max Clare. I mean, what do we see?
So it's the balance because they want to get the run game going too. So we've got a little bit of an issue there. And then you want to get some rapport with those wide receivers. So I think you will let him take the handcuffs off a little bit. Let's see what he can do. Let's challenge him with some of these different reads, challenge him with some of the difficult throws. The offensive line should have a pretty clean pocket for him. And so, yeah, Dom, that's going to be pushing the ball down the field. That's going to be reading through some of these combination routes and then really testing his accuracy down the field, what he's going to be able to do, not just the short game, but the intermediate and then deep ball. How good will he be able to convert that on Saturday? And judging by the weather, I think it should be shaping up for a pretty advantageous opportunity.
We talked about Matt Patricia. We talked about the defense. We talked about Julian Sayin. The other new man is Brian Hartline. No new man, but he's calling the plays. How do you think he did in week 1? What do you want to see out of him going forward?
I thought Brian did a hell of a job. I mean, when you look at that, him up there, he's replacing Chip Kelly, a guy who's getting paid, $6-7 million, whatever it is, to coach in the NFL as an offensive coordinator. Heck of a job coming in by Brian Hartline. And the worry that people have as a receiver, as a quarterback, is you just want to fall in love with throwing the ball down the field. I thought Brian did a great job of balancing the calls for Julian, utilizing the run, and then going a little bit Jim Tressel there, too, like win the surest way. They didn't need to go out and score 45 points to win that game. They realized what type of game it was going to be. Let's make sure we don't turn it over. Let's end every drive with a kick. And if we do that, you're going to win, and you saw that on Saturday.
All right, last thing. Look in your crystal ball. Who scores on Saturday? Does Jeremiah get his first touchdown of the year? Who scores?
I think Jeremiah is going to probably get his first touchdown. I think they're going to try to James Peoples will probably have one. Ennis, I think Max Clare. There should be a lot of touchdowns being scored. The function is just who will be in the game at that point. But I think, tight end, running back, and then probably JJ will get one for sure.
This guy looks like he can still play. The one and only Bobby Carpenter. Check him out Monday through Friday.
Yes, sir. Morning Juice, YouTube, 10 TV Plus from 10 to noon, and then now also on the AM and the FM too from 1 to 3.
He's Bobby Carpenter. I'm Dom Tiberi. Keep it on 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, 97.1 The Fan for all your Buckeye coverage needs.